Good evening, and what is up? My name is Matt. Welcome back to the Relic Room for another Tuesday night. Super excited to have you here this evening, and man, how about that intro music? I've personally never had a guest bring his own intro music, like a WWE wrestler, though, and just hit that one out of the park. So real quick, I want to stop and say thank you to all of you guys for coming in and hanging out with us. I hope you had a great week going out and finding some treasure. I personally had a great week, and actually know our guests had a great week. A lot of you guys know Metal Detecting NYC, and I'm super excited to have him. I love his channel. I love the comedy he brings, and his information and his knowledge and his sharing. So without much more, let's go ahead and see if we can bring Merrill right on in. So, boom, there we are. What is up, Merrill?
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Matt? Very
I,
happy to
uh,
be here.
I'm super stoked to have you in here. And, dude, how long did it take you to write that song?
That actually came together kind of fast. I was listening to the Beatles in the car one day, and I was like, Ringo Starr, that's a great metal detecting name. So, just put it together from there. It happened all of a sudden. And I get on these long car rides, you just repeat a beat. I downloaded the beat from YouTube, and when you're caught in traffic, it's time to think. So put the beat together, put some lyrics to it. I think it was like 2 car rides.
Dude, that is absolutely awesome, man.
Thank you.
We're going to
Yeah,
just check our audio real quick. Everybody let me know if we're doing good. Big shout out to
yep.
Underfoot Adventures for the super sticker. Thanks, bro. So
What's up, Keith?
and you brought all kinds of friends in here with you.
I roll deep, but I've met some great people this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start at the beginning. Talk to me about when you first started metal detecting, how you got into it. And for a lot of folks who do know, you had an art channel and you've kind of transitioned over into a YouTube channel. It's a very interesting thing for me as like somebody who loves to metal detector. I'm a pretty creative guy, but to go kind of different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think art is something that is inspiration based. And there's nothing wrong with drawing. There's nothing wrong with painting. And it was the subject that got me really inspired in school. But you evolve over time. Your tastes evolve over time. And I think the most important thing that we can choose to do in life is follow our inspirations. And right now, I'm all about digging stuff up and seeing what goes along with that. Like the silly rap that I made, that's an extension of my art right now, I guess. I started detecting in 2012. I was online at BJ's of all places. It was Christmas time, and there was this $30 detector. And what is it? Excalibur? Not the Mind Lab Excalibur, but the story, he pulls the sword, and it's the perfect fit. And, I'm telling you, magic happened when I touched that $30 detector. I dug up a silver on my property, a 1936 quarter, which I pretty much have framed in my house right now. And, just seeing silver, something that was so old, looked like it's brand new. And, oh my God, it just was the perfect medium for my mind, if that makes sense.
So that was like the one thing that as soon as you had it, you were like, this is mine. This is what I'm going to go do.
Pretty much, I wanted to do it all the time. And I think that unless if it's something that can really hurt you, why deprive yourself of that? See where the inspiration comes from there. And, I look at this as like my second art channel, if you will.
Absolutely, man. And that's so cool. So you went from the $30 Excalibur. Then where did you just progress as far as machines go? Were you like, well, maybe I just need to get a little more expensive one, or did you dive in all the way?
It's a good question. I went to Bounty Hunter next. So I was, I remember my wife saying to me, she's like, you're never going to use that. And that wasn't the motivation. I just loved it. But the first month I remember I pulled up something like $30, And I bought my next detector with the metal detecting coin that I found, and I also did that with my third detector. So I got Bounty Hunter Discovery 2200, and then the 2200 led me to the AT Pro, and on and on. And I just I consider myself a metal detector connoisseur, if you will. I mean, I haven't had the fine caviar yet of metal detectors, but in the future, I would love to get there. I would love to swing the best and really be able to talk on the differences in the detectors. So that's where my future is heading, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and that's cool, man, because that's the progression of everything. I didn't do it the same way. I went just like crazy. I'm gonna go buy an E-Track, and it was a great machine, but man, the learning curve of that was tremendous. So I imagine as you progress through it, you learn new features as you went. It was a little more to consume, or a lot easier to consume information wise.
Mine was so simple. It had a hot pink stripe down the middle. I could care less. And it just you flip the button. It had like a dial that anytime that it went over metal, it was like it yelled at you. That's what I needed for my first detector. Something that just was so blatant that like yelled at you, like dig this, stupid. Let's go, just do it. And I thrived with that machine. I don't even know if it had a name or a manufacturer. It was just one of these like cheap ripoffs that was in BJ's for the holiday season. And the Bounty Hunter was legit. But my first detector, it just, it paid for itself in less than a month.
That is super cool, man. Somebody in the comments said the first silver quarter you found paid for it.
There you go. There you go.
uh, so do you so and this is kind of weird. So because everybody knows your channel is Metal Detecting NYC, which you have the awesome Statue of Liberty beeping, which is fantastic. What and I guess this would kind of turn into because I've always thought about it is park like everybody thinks about metal detecting in New York as just parks, or I guess everybody has a perception of there's just the city, but there's all kinds of other places that you hunt.
Yeah, we have, if you think about it, the only borough that is connected to the mainland United States is the Bronx. You got Staten Island, island in itself. Manhattan, that's an island in itself. Brooklyn and Queens are part of Long Island. So we're surrounded by beaches. And I go back and forth with this. Like, I love digging history. I absolutely love it. And this year has been very much been about the beach. And there's a psychology to that. There is it's almost like theory because nobody has really taken the time to test these things out. I'm also hinting on where my mind is going in the future. There's nothing scientific that says, okay, and this coin is going to move this much. And in the days of nowadays, we could get a GPS the size of a coin, and we can really track that. That's kind of where I want to go. And I'm telling you, the theory of beach detecting is just so fascinating to me. And because I got humbled by the beaches for so long, like years. Of course, part of it was the detectors that I swung, like even the AT Pro. You really have to fine tune it in order to swing that at the beach. But I got humbled for years. I'd be able to pull so much in parks and the various dirt venues. I don't know what to call them. Does that make sense? Dirt venues.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And then when I would go to the beach, I would get a fraction of what that was. And it wasn't until I really started reading up and watching YouTube channels for beach detecting that I would really learn my stuff.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And you're right. If you've never hunted on a beach, you can go out and get absolutely just. You see thousands of people. You're like, well, why can't I find anything here? And I mean, you really can be humbled by it. It took me a long time, and I love beach detecting. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like, but man, you get guys like New Hampshire Beach Metal Detecting that they're like they've got like this X-ray where they look down the beach and they go, "Ooh, let's go here," and they just find stuff, and you're like, "Gosh, I wonder if I could do that."
There's an expression that I hear from great beach detectorists, reading the beach. And I share what I know. I would consider myself maybe high intermediate level in my knowledge. And I really want to grill some of the top people in this coming year on that because there's some people, and I've seen it, they can just read the beach. Um, they know exactly where to go. And, I know some patterns that I see, but I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think that's a lifetime of learning with metal detecting or searching for history anyway.
Yeah.
If anybody has a question in the chat, be sure to hit at Metal Detecting NYC or at Gone Diggin, and we'll try to field those questions as we go, and we will try to make all that stuff happen. So that is that's super cool. The other part I was going to ask you about is hunting the parks. So I mean, you have all this vast beach, which is, I mean, you basically go to a new beach every day if you wanted, right?
Yeah, we're surrounded by beaches. In the past month, I've gone to about 3 or 4 new beaches because the old ones are very hunted, and I mean, we're the ones hunting them. So, you go on, you expand. That's what 2019 has really been about for me. Um, Going to new places, and oh man, my learning and what I have found has taken off this year, more so than anything because of the people that I've met. I'm telling you, that's the best way. Get around other detectorists. It was the same thing with art. When I was around other painters, my best paintings would come out. When I'm around other detectorists, I'm doing some of my best detecting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people bring you up. I mean, good people bring you up to their level. Just like if you were a kid and you were hanging around bad kids, they brought you down. But I mean, that's the really the way of it. Um, but so now transitioning into parks, there are all kinds of parks in New York, through big and small. What is, and I guess this is this kind of two-part question. What is the competition like? I mean, there's the most people. I went to New York City for the Tunnels to Towers race this year,
hmm
and I've never experienced anything like it. Um,
Um, Park detecting in New York. Let me put it this way. It is, you got to take the Wile E. Coyote approach because you are going to see so many bottle caps. Let's put it this way. Let's say that we go back to the farming age and we plant some vegetables. Those vegetables are going to come out part bottle cap. Okay. So it's going to be like a tomato slash bottle cap because we got that many caps here in New York. And I'm telling you, it's masking a lot of great stuff. A lot of the parks that I go to, I wind up digging up a lot of the trash first. I look at historic aerials, which is a amazing site, and that basically tells me, okay, was this landfilled in? No, I have no interest in a spot that's been landfilled. But if there's been roads that were running through it, or if there's a park that was there in the 1700s, 1800s, that's still there today, you better believe nothing is ever hunted out. There's always going to be something that's left. And I'm willing to go through a lot of those bottle caps and pull tabs to get to the good stuff because so many times there have been masked signals. And, that's really what you have to go through in New York. My protocol for that, and I've been so close to doing a video on this, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put that off till the next video. Protocol, historic aerials, and then remove the trash, and then dig.
and then come back, yeah, pull that,
Yeah,
build that cake, take that top layer off, and then start looking through those other layers.
yeah.
Um, so have you been a park hunter or a beach hunter?
I started out as a park hunter, and the beach just puzzled me like crazy. And part of it is, I've been hanging out with a lot of beach hunters, And I go back and forth in this. If somebody told me that I'm going to a place that has a long history, um, I might choose that over a beach that is completely packed with rain. You don't know, first of all, but history, there's just something to appreciate so much about holding something that has not seen the light of day in a few hundred years that is just so awesome when you pull it up and you see those numbers on it that show the year that it was minted. It's just my favorite finds are like that. And then there's the beach finds where it's just like, holy cow, this is really expensive and really cool. And of course, bringing it back. I've only done it once. That's the good part of rings, too. It's not just finding them. You can reconnect people with them. But long story short, oh man, I love history.
Yeah.
And my longest experience was as a park detectorist.
There's all kinds of chats going off, all kinds of questions going off, and we're going to try to get to those, and we're going to throw those in as well. But I think you're
Definitely.
right. I think that sometimes you can pick something up and go, like just the monetary value of a gold ring that may not be old, just be like, man, I found $500, and you may find a historic relic that may be something in the neighborhood of that, but you would never
Yeah,
sell it.
correct. I can't part with it. Like, hoarding is too cool. I got to keep it. Absolutely.
Big shout out to Iffy Signals. He says, great stream, Clad
What's
Master
up, Iffy?
Merrill. Um,
Cladmaster, love it.
um, and then, we'll kind of throw this one in because I think this is an interesting. So, Adventures in Dirt asks, what's the biggest tip you can give somebody who is going to start beach hunting?
Choose the right detector. That would be the starting point. I struggled very much with my AT Pro, and it's a great detector in freshwater. It's submersible, but it did not, it did not do justice on a saltwater beach. Two, I would say make sure that you hunt the wet, because if you think about it, you have that big tide or that big storm that goes out. It can pull the stuff in, and the consolidation point is in the wet. And three would be know the signals. I'm really starting to appreciate the slope of the beach. And I think he's in the chat. My buddy Rob taught me that. You really want to see, like, if you think about it, a slope, it's a stopping point. So a tide will wash in until it reaches this pyramid shaped wall. And when you go down the slope, a lot of stuff gets caught there. I'm also, good luck now. You got me started on beach hunting and beach hunting philosophy. So just tell me when it's like, Merrill, zip it. Um, I like the high tide line also, because if you find a good solid high tide line and coins going down it and a patch that's there, if you hunt in front of the patch, that's where you could find some really good stuff. Let me cut myself off at that, because I know it's the teacher in me. We ramble.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I completely understand it. All right, so then I'm going to field this other question because this is something I want to do. I want to go to
yeah.
Dead Horse Bay. Have you ever been?
Oh, I love Dead Horse Bay. Absolutely. I've learned so much. Is Adele here? Adele, are you in the audience? I've learned so much from Adele, and she is one of the most intense treasure hunters that I have ever met. And I know she just bought a metal detector and can't wait to go metal detecting with her. Yes, I got a whole series on my channel with Dead Horse Bay, and that is one of the most incredible places that I've ever been. It is spiritual. You walk there, you just feel the past, and it's so peaceful there too. Um, it's an incredible place. When you come up to New York, it will be my joy to bring you to Dead Horse Bay.
Awesome. Well, I'm stoked. We're gonna put that on the calendar then.
Love
I
it.
wanted to do it when Pound the Ground happened, but I just been in the city and all kinds of stuff. But I was like, I didn't even know where to start. But I want to go. I can't wait for that. Um, Underfoot Adventure says he'll put me up for a night. That sounds awesome. Um,
I went to Dead Horse with Underfoot Adventures, and I see the Detecting Zone is out there, and Indiana Tones. All three of them, we've gone to Dead Horse together.
that's
Those are some of
awesome.
my
So
detecting buddies. Yep.
we can make it a party. And I kind of wanted to switch gears. Honestly, when I found your channel, I found you through at that time, I think it was the top 100, or is it top 100 or top 500 metal detecting channels on YouTube. And I found that to be really super cool. And I was like, man, this guy's like really sharp on that. But you kind of have a background about data like that, right?
Yeah, that somehow morphed. I started my career as an art teacher, and the oh shoot stuff happens when you have kids. And let's put it this way: I loved teaching art. It was a great job, but schools were cutting art. And when my son was born, I was like, no, I need job security. So I went back to school, got a degree in special education, and with that, there's a lot of data because you always want to be able to measure students and their progress over time. So I had a group of students that um, did really well over time. So my principal challenged me. Long story short, can you do this with the entire school? And I was like, oh darn. So I taught myself Excel, and it's really interesting. I've always been interested in sports. I played baseball in college, and very much a stat head. And I'm telling you, there's something that brings people together with quantification, with looking at stats, and for the metal detecting community, it's something that I can offer very easily. That you write a simple. I actually hired somebody to write this, but the idea, you just push a button and it pulls all of it codes all of the different channels, and pulls all of the public data. So if somebody leaves the data as public scrapes that, puts it into a spreadsheet, and then from there you could compare two spreadsheets and measure growth over time. And it's it's an extension of what I've done in the classroom, because I want the kid that is learning from me to know, all right, when you started the year you were at this level, now let's get you to this level. And it all starts with that. And I remember when I was doing the live stream the other night, and you were absolutely correct. You're like, okay, numbers, they can be, I forget how you put it, but the number of subscribers, it's not the be all end all. Um,
It's a little bit of a
but
grain of salt, right?
that's how you put it. Take it as a grain of salt, absolutely. But it also is something that you can gauge growth over time with. And before I go off on a tangent, which I'm famous for, I always meet the parents that are like, why is my kid not reading at X level? And I'm like, okay, well, ideally we want him or her to be, but if he is a year behind, let's say he graduates when he's 18, if he gets it when he's 19, guess what? He still has plenty of time. I'm done. Tangent over.
It's awesome is that my wife teaches at a collaborative classroom of special ed and a
Okay.
special education teacher, so I
Yes.
completely understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
And
Yep.
but it's neat, and I really do appreciate. I appreciate the numbers and I appreciate the growth, because I think as people who create, like both of us, we like to see improvement, and to see that we're that's part of our human nature, is to see that we're doing something that's beneficial and showing improvement. Um,
Yes.
it's interesting. My channel this summer at the spring was like on a skyrocket, but during the summer, I really introduced a lot of content that I didn't present well, and two was on the fringes of what the people that normally watch my channel like to see. So I did very marginal all summer, even though I felt like I found some stuff that is generally not found on YouTube. Um, you know, so but it was cool because I could look at all of the different numbers and look through some of your stuff that you presented because you openly share your spreadsheets to everybody who wants to see them. You know, that you can actually say, okay, I had a good month, or you can look and say, I didn't do good all summer, but you can look at overall and say, well, I'm improving.
Correct. You have to look at numbers in a healthy way, and sometimes they don't. I say to students all the time, it's like you could plant a seed; it's not going to turn into a redwood right away. It takes consistent effort. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and it helps you see these little increments over time. As you grow, and the most important thing is to do what you are inspired to do, and people can tell that right away. Like, I stopped with my art channel because I lost the inspiration to do that. I'm freaking loving doing the metal detecting NYC stuff. And, you never know. Next week, maybe there's another rap coming out. Next week, there could be 5 live streams. I'm lousy at predicting a schedule for what's coming out. But the rule is have fun with it. And that way you don't burn out with it. Oh, I burned out with the art channel. And, you can push yourself too far. But guess what? Lesson learned, version 2.0, let's go from here.
So a big shout out to Underfoot Adventures for the super chat. He said that's a solid offer. It's only money. Very, very cool. You're right. I guess what is, and All Metal Mike says motivation changes through life, and that's 100% true. What is the one statistic out of your stuff that you've done that you've really been surprised about? Or is there anything that really stands out that when you put it all together that you were like, oh, I never even thought about that?
I would say carrying capacity. Now, I look at the number of channels that are out there. There are a lot. And the number of users. And I would say that there is a struggle, and this could be one of the reasons that a channel that is maybe 2,000 to 5,000 would stall, because you have maybe 5,000 or so avid fans out there globally, and you have tons more that are interested but not as hardcore. And, it's really like you can grow like crazy to a certain point. And then you have to understand there's a carrying capacity with that. Like, there's only so many animals that can be within an ecosystem because of the food sources or lack thereof. And it's like that with YouTube channels. Art, it was a much bigger ecosystem. There also was a lot more competition, even more so than metal detecting. But I'm seeing it. If you look at the data across the channels, there's a carrying capacity, I would say somewhere around somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000, where it's really going to take more of a push to get to that rarer air up there.
That's cool, man. That's really interesting because that's something I've always wondered about. Because you see, just looking at your list, the top 100 are pretty set apart from the next, say, 200 to 500.
The words metal detecting, the last time I checked, it was something like 29,000 searches globally on YouTube per month. And, if you compare that with something like drawing, I say drawing, I don't know why. That's, it's almost a million, if not over. It bounces, it's a different animal. But, it's a different, you have to embrace what it is also, because you could have a smaller niche, but you could be loving it, and that's fine too,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's pretty neat. And it's cool, man. I think you do a heck of a service for everybody who has a channel or just enjoys that kind of stuff. I mean, that's really neat.
It's my joy. It's my It's relatively easy. Yes, it takes some time, but it's relatively easy to put together. And, I get questions occasionally like, why isn't my channel growing? Don't dwell on it. Just, if you have fun with what you're doing and experiment a little bit, um, be up. You said it earlier. We spoke earlier. It's too. And anybody could dig up coins. And if you think about it, especially in terms of American coins, there's only so many silvers that are out there. It's the person and the spin that you put on it. Be yourselves, and people will. Not everybody, but people will embrace that. I see that in schools too. Like there's every student eventually gets a teacher that is their go-to person, and it's like that when people watch videos. You either are able to relate or you're not able to relate. So just push the content that you sincerely care about, and people will be excited about your channel.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Potter County Diggers, Kevin. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. You certainly don't have to do that. No,
I got a big shout out to Potty Counter Diggers. He bought a simplex for my school. Thank you so much, Kevin. Everybody, please check out Potter County Diggers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we're going to talk about that, but I wanted to talk about one thing before we do that. You're on the road to be a millionaire. I mean,
highly debatable.
I mean, probably what in the next probably 3 to 5 weeks you'll be a millionaire. But no, you see, you have the make a million off the metal detecting series too, which is freaking great. I love it.
It's the ultimate exercise in optimism. That's the way that I look at it. But surprisingly, the math actually works. Now, if you pull $2,000 per year, put away $2,000 per year. I started this when I'm 40. I'm 41 right now. And we're talking about by the time I'm 80, if you invest in the S&P 500, which has averaged a 10% return, by the time you're 80, you are very close to $1 million. So the $2,000, 10%, compound interest, it's those first years that are most important. That's where you get most of the money. That will end up very close to $1 million. Now, here's the catcher, and somebody pointed this out correctly in the comments. $1 million then, we're talking about 2060, 2061. It's going to get a slice of pizza, but I'm going to sure have fun digging it,
They'll be putting $1 million bills like they're 50s.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's super cool, man. Like I just like it. So what are you up to this year? I just saw your number, but for the folks who don't know, you're digging clad, and you go out purposely to dig clad, and people like you're insane, but you find really cool stuff in the mix of all that clad.
Yeah, it's like those. Some days you see a beautiful sunset. Some days it's just cloudy. Some days you're too busy to even notice. And it's like that with metal detecting too. And, when I find clad, I just basically say quarter, dime, nickel. It is what it is. Or I try to make something funny out of it. Just what's going through my head at the time. But you know what? If you think about it, each one of those things, it is building to something. And, if you think about it, it's something that has been lost, that is of value, that if you put together with others of the same thing, it could turn into something powerful. So I've come to enjoy digging clad.
Yeah. And so how much clad have you dug this year?
This year, at the beginning of the month, $800. And I'm really upset about that right now because the month of May and the month of June, I was without, part of June, I was without a detector because 2 of my detectors broke. I had a MineLab Safari and a White's Beach Hunter 300. Both of those were in the shop. And I've sent other detectors to family members, lent them to friends. So I was totally without a detector then. And I've since bought the Equinox and the Amphibio multi. And but those month and a half I was without, I would have been at 1,000 right now. 1,000 is just a round number. It means nothing, but it's 1,000. You know?
That's pretty incredible, though. $800 in clad is a pile. I don't think I've dug $800 in clad in the last 10 years. And I've been so
Really?
20. I'm actually probably I hit my 10-year metal detecting like anniversary in September of this year. So I
New
don't think I've
York.
ever dug that much clad in. I know I haven't.
New York is like a slot machine, okay? Like a wave washes up on the beach. It's got like, quarters in it. It just, people drop stuff constantly. And it really is the ultimate high volume spot for metal detecting. So embrace it for what it is. It just, I've come to enjoy, pulling the clad um, as well as the super valuable stuff.
So in digging your clad, you also have what's that fancy thing? It's not it's like it's a diagram, but if you find this, then you will do this.
The flow chart.
Tell me about that. Kay's digging and ask, where did the rings and Taco Bell come from?
Oh, that's a great question. I have no idea. It just was. I was craving Taco Bell one day, and in that video, I was like, I'm going to Taco. I found a ring, and I'm like, I'm going to Taco Bell. We're celebrating, and then all of a sudden, in the comments, it's like, you found a ring. You have to go to Taco Bell, and I'm like, I will oblige. Yes, let's do that. I can't say no to that. So yeah, it became a tradition.
Just as part of the spontaneity of life, which I absolutely love. That is fantastic. It's I like that finding reward, and what I really enjoyed was that diagram. That was off the charts.
Flow
Good.
chart. Yep. It needs a flow chart for explanation.
Flow chart. That's it. That's it.
The simplest of all flow charts. It's like, find ring, go to Taco Bell. Don't find ring, go home, dig some more, and repeat. As simple as you could get.
So, and B Harp's got a bunch of good questions we're going to get to, but I will 100% do that, and we'll roll that stuff in. So let's go and talk about you had an awesome day, right?
Whoo, this was like an all-time great day. Absolutely. I want to thank so many of you. I'm looking through the chat right now, and so many of you have donated. My school, we literally got $1,500 in funding to get a fleet of metal detectors, and I made a video, but the heroes are the people out there who believed in the idea enough to fund it. And I was telling Matt before. I remember talking to a student of mine, and about I was like, yeah, I metal detect. That's my favorite hobby to do. And the student thought that it meant I was like working security, because in schools, a lot of the schools have metal detectors when you go into the school. And, it was a logical and honest mistake that the student made, because did not know what metal detecting is. And, my kiddos, they need metal detectors. We want to teach them the right way, especially in a place like the Bronx, where there's so much history under their feet, and really make an applied history class where you can not only research local history, but you could go up and dig it. How awesome is that?
That is off the charts, and probably I would have done a lot better in school if I had something like that. So now you're fully funded with metal detectors
Yeah.
because of folks like Kevin who hooked it up. Finders Keepers was interested in maybe donating as well, so we sent him a message to send us a either send myself or Merrill an email, and I can help facilitate comments or get you guys together, however that works.
My
Um,
email is right on my channel. I'll put it in the chat too.
yeah, I
I
got
check it.
a
Yep.
yeah. Either Adventures in Dirt can throw it in there, or yeah, throw it in the chat room right there. Um, so yeah, that is super cool. But not only do you need um, do you need metal detectors, but you need some other stuff, right? You need maybe a couple pinpointers.
The idea with the pinpointers, and you guys are spoiling us like crazy, and we're thankful. The idea in what I budgeted for this, we got beach scoops, and we got metal detectors, and bounty hunters. It was the only ones that were really available that fit the need in donors choose. But the idea was we are going to use the change, reinvest the change, and even if it's one at a time, get a pinpointer, get a digging tool for park hunting. Um,
I, I'm
yeah,
pretty
the
sure that
principal is thrilled. Yeah,
that the Gone Diggin channel is going to hook you up with some of that stuff.
you guys are.
So
Thank you. Metal detectorists are just awesome people. I have seen that again and again, and you know, thank you. I'm just
so
so
and for
yeah.
folks in the chat who are hanging out, what class, like what's your age group so that you know so they had an
We're middle
idea.
school, so it's intro to hormones, grades 6 through 8, and they're the ones that really like. There's a kinesthetic need; they need to move around, and I'm an administrator in the school, and we can arrange so that this class would happen perhaps late in the day, um, so that it, how I'm envisioning this, I want them to learn about local history too. And I've got some great books, including one that is every street name in the Bronx and like how it got that name. I want to teach them about historic aerials. I want to teach them about how to find the age of buildings and go from there and see what we could dig up, identifying stuff. There's so much to do even when we are not out digging. But of course, the fun part is going out digging. And the challenge is going to be with now 7 detectors, how are we going to spread that out with 326 students? But I like that challenge. We'll find a way.
Yeah, and it may start as a club, right? You said you maybe like an
I
like.
refuse to call it a club.
Fair
That's
enough.
just
Fair enough. So
that's just
maybe
me being a snooty
it's an
snoot.
association.
If I got to call it a class, but we could call it an association. That
Yeah,
that's
okay, class.
that's
So
a good
I do
compromise,
actually
though.
I do like the idea of it being a class that you would have to put in for, and you'd have to want to like if it's an elective class, something like that. Um,
Correct. No, that's the thing. They will not take it as seriously if they don't know that they're going to get the grade on that. And when you teach something that you love, oh, you want your students to take it seriously. So, it would, what do you call it? Not the dean. Um, Merrill's going to make sure that the students take it seriously. And what I think is going to happen, in all honesty, there's going to be some that are like, okay, wait, why are we doing this? And there's going to be some that are wired like us. This class is to find the people that are wired like us. Metal detecting, like anything, it's not for everybody. But I want to put it out there that it's um, an option, and I want them to know, if nothing else, that metal detectors are not just for safety purposes. you could literally on your next signal dig up something that's 300, 400 years old or worth thousands of dollars. It happens all the time.
That is super cool. All Metal Mike says he wants a metal detecting degree. Um, Mike, you're gonna have to go to the School of Hard Knocks for that. Um,
Hard equinox.
but
What's
yeah,
up,
man,
all
that's a
metal Mike?
fantastic idea. Absolutely love it.
Thank you. I'm just geeked out over getting this done. Like this is something that I'm really, really looking forward to starting and like building. You know, like you put the initial steps in, that's been done. Now we really start to build with this. I want this to be an elite program.
Yeah, that
I called
is
it a program.
yeah, program. That's good. So the so and I will I'll come back to a couple other oh, so the detecting zone asked, he said, now that you're funded, how long do you think it'll take for you to get the first class up and running? Will it be like next fall, or do you think you'll be able to do something this spring?
I want to do something in the spring, and I might have to compromise. I refuse to call it a club. I don't know why, but you know, I'm one of the people who works on the schedule and you know can move students around, and it might start as a small group. You know, I might send out an email to all of the students and gauge interest amongst 300 and something students. Maybe we get down to 100. Being that there is a scarcity in the equipment, maybe we turn it into, okay, you have to write something to show how interested that you are. It gives them practice with their writing, and they're going to have to convince me. And you know, from there, you know, we build it, and I don't want to keep the detectors from the kids. If there's any interest whatsoever, because you know, not everybody is good at articulating that they want to try something. We're going to make it. We're good at making it available to everybody, but the people who express the most interest, they're going to be the ones that go first. And I
Yeah,
got a great
absolutely.
crew to
That's
help to help teach.
fantastic.
I know a lot of
So
really
B
talented.
Harp asked, and this is pretty
Oh,
interesting. I didn't even think of this. Do you think that you would, in your curriculum, because there is that constant kind of push and pull of metal detectors against the archaeological community versus the hobbyist, what do you think that? How do you think that you would approach that?
that's a good point. I know that there's some friction between that, and I think of Indiana Jones. You know, like he was kind of in between. You know, I mean, he never used a metal detector, but he would certainly not document a space. I know he's not real. I get it, but I think that all in all, this is an opportunity. I think as a teacher, I have to teach them a certain amount about archaeology and what the differences are between the two. And in fairness, there really has not been enough archaeology, cultural anthropology that has gone on, that has been studied in the Bronx. I think it's been overlooked many times. So the fact that we're bringing in metal detecting to do that, you know, if archaeologists get upset about that, that's that might be a good thing. That might lead to archaeology. I mean, we're talking about the birthplace of hip hop here, and you know the culture that goes with it. Artistically, it has influenced a nation. It originated in the Bronx, so you know let's really study that, see what we can
Absolutely.
dig.
Absolutely. I think that's cool, man. I think it's really awesome. So just like that, we've knocked down 52 minutes. And I guess I kind of just field any other questions folks have. I don't have. I think I think both of us could sit and talk for hours about this, um, but yeah, about metal detecting history. But how? B Harp asked, how do you balance work family, and your metal detecting hobby?
Struggle. The
Yeah.
struggle is real. And I feel it, especially as a dad, now that my kiddos are getting older, and I've tried to bring them with me. And they, I don't know if it's that they're not strong enough yet to like really dig, or have the mental stamina to do it, or it could be that they're wired differently. I'm wired different than my dad. He's a great guy. I love him very much, but we're not the same person. Um, the ideal is that they go with me, but I've always been in the camp. No, I'm not going to force you. I will try to convince you to come with me once or a few times, but um, I'll embrace whatever they choose. Um, I always family comes first. I make time. If I tell my son, especially, he's 11. I'm like, listen, you ever need your dad, and he loves detecting. You know why he detects, because it's my yoga. It is my me time, and it makes me a better person. It makes me more um, calm, in tune with, empathetic, in tune with other people. It heals me. He gets that. But I'm like, if you ever need your dad, you are number one priority. And obviously, same thing for my daughter, and same thing with my wife. And um, we get each other. That's the beauty of our family. Like, we support each other and we get each other. But the
Yeah,
struggle is real sometimes.
it's been a learning curve for me. My daughter just turned 1, and she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Um, but I do need that time, and we spend a lot of time together with my schedule. I spent like 15 hours with her just taking care of her today, and we go out and have adventures even though she's 1, like whether that's going to the grocery store or we walked around the park that you're not allowed to relic hunt in, but it gave me some great ideas today. So she's treasure hunting already. She just doesn't know it. Um, but it's difficult, man. And I can see it getting better and having that ebb and flow where they want to go out with you everywhere you go versus maybe I'm at the age I don't quite want to hang out with my nerdy dad who likes to go scuba diving or hang out on the beach in my beach better have my money shirt.
Love it. I'll say this, it's the analogy with the airplane. In case of the loss of cabin pressure, put the mask over yourself before you do it on the kids. And if you go through, if you're not unwound, if you are not feeling, if you feel overwhelmed with life, you're not going to do anybody that is immediately around you any favors. So you have to take me time. It is crucial. And I think it's also something that you have to teach your kids. And, I make sure to preface it that it is not the most important thing to me. I will, in a heartbeat, die for my kids, but you have to take me time. It is crucial. And a lot of people, and it could be a heroic action, but one that sets them back. They don't take enough me time. So you have to make sure that you take your me time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Um, so the so man, and just like that, we've made it all the way to right at an hour, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty painless, I think. Bob Horace
This is
says I need to
awesome.
text him every time I go live. Consider that done, Bob. If anybody needs to get on a text list whenever we do a show, I will compile that and make that happen. Um, you know, but it's so I guess we'll ask so we can look forward to more rap videos. Oh, that's what you need. Somebody said you dig in costume.
Yeah, I did. The New York crew, my buddies, we went to Prospect Park. I was dressed in a Pai Mei costume. That's in the future. I want to create a metal detecting kung fu movie. Now, here's the thing about kung fu movies, and I've taken Tiger Schulman karate. I mean, keep it real. Tiger Schulman. That's as real as you get. I'm being sarcastic, of course. But here's the thing, metal detecting and Kung Fu, you don't have to build a plot in Kung Fu. There's no pressure with that. There's just action. And I want to develop the character that I call him Long Ha, as in like very funny, Long Ha. And I want to develop a Kung Fu character over the next year because just like rap, Kung Fu, and metal detecting, it's like peanut butter and jelly, you know?
You know, somewhere deep down, I knew that. I just had no clue.
Somewhere deep down, we all knew that.
Yeah, never put the correlation together. All right, so a Kung Fu movie, I only hope that it's dubbed over with pows and snaps and cracks.
But of course it will be.
And yes, absolutely, completely misdubbed words.
Yep. Yep.
So if I can get a cameo in that, we will make that happen.
Oh,
I at least
we would be thrilled.
I just want a voice dub.
I think we can arrange that.
So, quick question. If you could dig anywhere in the world without consequence, free and clear, where would you go tomorrow?
You know, I'd have to say the National Mall in Washington, D.C. I've been eyeing that place forever. And one of my early videos, like I actually started this channel in 2015, but then I was like, no, it's not time yet. And I really didn't start uploading again until 2019. Like now I'm so fully ready to come back. But National Mall, every time I go to DC, I'm like, how much must have been dropped here and for how long? That's where I would go.
That's pretty good. I like that. I've got a couple White House lawns, and I can respect that, but I like the mall too. The tens of thousands of federal soldiers that camped on that lawn to just everything else that happened around there. Underfoot Adventures says, do you have your other teeth with you?
I do. They're downstairs. I could get them very easily, and they could make a cameo.
Let's see it.
All right. Give me a minute.
All right. So we have an absolutely fantastic guest. If you guys have any more questions about what we talked about tonight, or any suggestions, anybody that you think you'd like to see on the live from the Relic Room, please drop that in the link. Send me an email. Go over and check out the Facebook page, Gone Diggin'. It's a Facebook group. Leave me a message there while Merrill goes out and gets his new fancy teeth that he just went out and dug up. So we could only be lucky enough to see if he starts rapping in them or not. But overall, Merrill is a fantastic guest, and we're super stoked to have him. Oh, there he is. We're back.
All right. So 2019, I have to say the metal detecting rap game is getting intense. There's all types of competitors coming into the game, metal detecting rappers. But these made all the difference for me, and you're going to see that in my latest video, my latest rap that's coming out. If you find grills, like your verbal scores on any IQ test just go through the roof, okay? And your ability to rhyme. And it also gives you the ability to just go, and scare people, Because really, that's all you need. These don't quite fit, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to, swallow them, which would kind of defeat the purpose. But, it sure looks good when you go,
I think your street cred went up 50 to 75 points.
Of course. It looks that much better when you're in your 40s and, rocking the grills.
Nice.
It's what I always needed.
Well, man, I absolutely appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for sharing your grills. your incredible stories, your incredible plans for next year. I can't wait to see what 2020 brings. It sounds silly to talk about that already, but I'm really excited for your school of metal detecting to pop up, and I think we're going to be able to help you out with that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm absolutely pumped and thrilled, and it's a thrill to be on this show. There's so many times that I've been in the audience and watching, and this was just a all-around memorable, great day for me. Between this and the project being funded, I'm just having a lot of fun, and I'm very appreciative. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and bringing all your friends. Tell you what, I'm going to slide you off to the side and we're going to roll this out of here. So there we go. Merrill, Metal Detecting NYC, a absolutely fantastic guest, doing incredible things not only in the world of metal detecting, but in the metal detecting community and spreading what we love to do to the next generation of metal detectors. I really don't think there's a better thing that you could do with your time than do that. And that's what Merrill's doing. So I am absolutely excited to see what that happens. I would like to thank each and every one of you, but that would take me another 15 minutes to do that. So thank you all for the super chats. Potter County Digger, Underfoot Adventures, and I know I'm missing a bunch more in there. Thank you so much for supporting my channel as well. Got a great video coming up on Thursday. Tuesday of next week, we have Greg Paulo of Florida 6. He's hosting the Florida 6 hunt. So be sure to come in and hang out for that. We'll also be doing a fundraiser for a veterans group that does therapeutic riding for horses, with horses. So we're really excited about that. Chat with Greg about the Florida 6 hunt, metal detecting in Florida, and all that stuff. Again, huge thank you to each one of you and to our guest Merrill for being so awesome. My name is Matt. This is Gone Digging live from the Relic Room. I hope you get to go out and save some history sometime this week. Until I see you on Tuesday. If you're not able to save some history, go out and make history. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll leave you with a little rap tune.
Beach under 300, trunk of my car. Sand scoop, beach troop, headed to Elmar. Coin line not fine, gotta raise the bar. If it was a Beatle, I'd be Ringo Starr. Oh, Galileo Galilei, he saw rings in outer space. Circular anomaly, Isaac Newton serenade. Speed of light, a cosmic ray. Dance of mass and gravity, halo over Saturn's face. Yellow submarine, signal target ID. Octopus's garden has plenty of bling. Gotta get a scoop, yeah, gotta do my thing. Beyonce hit the right idea, gotta put a ring. I swing down